And welcome back to game number 2 in the best of 3 series between Luciodology and ProBUs. Spawning in on the left-hand side, we have Deckard Cain, played by Galactos, Azmodan, played by Lemony Fresh, Diablo, played by Eugenaz, Vala by Takalu, and Zeratul by Hentron. And over on the right-hand side, we have Anubarak, played by Dragon, Maiev, played by Aruba, Cassia, played by Hong Fu, Sonya by Secret Asian Man, and Brightwing, playing once again by Milkstar. As mentioned, this is the second game in the best of 3 series between these two teams. The first game was taken by the right-hand team, ProBUs. Interesting, we see that Sonya has not actually picked up a level 1 talent yet, going up into the solo lane. We see that ProBUs is running a pretty standard 1-4, and there's a 2-3 actually on the other hand side. Sonya trading out a little bit of damage with Zeratul, but nothing really to be gained on either side. We do see that Hentron is likely not only going to be trying to get ganks off of that Jaina, there we see her picking up the Warpaint, but also helping that Azmodan get stacked, which is actually kind of an interesting pick on this map. You don't really see too much Azmodan played on the 2-lane maps, but running that 2-3, we'll see ProBUs with their 1-4 potentially getting some damage in onto the front wall in the bottom lane. Zeratul is headed down into the bottom lane to try and see if he can get a nice gank in here. There's a lot of CC, however, on the side of ProBUs. I don't know if he's going to be able to get a whole lot done here. He goes in, puts some decent damage onto Cassia. The Anubarak doesn't quite manage to get anything done onto Huntron. Both teams trade blows, but really not much to either avail on either side. Secret Asian Man, actually still wounded from that fight before, is losing out to Azmodan, which is not normally what you'd expect to be the case there. Looking over to the talents, we have Deckard Cain once again taking the Scroll of Identify, Azmodan taking the Greed, which is the newly reworked talent. I actually have not seen it in place, we'll see how it does this game. Getting another stack on that Scroll of Identify. Regen Master, Pursuit of Vengeance, that's a pretty interesting cooldown. Brightwing using that Z to come to the top lane, top off Secret Asian Man. And we're going to see if either of these camps decide to rotate team members off to take some of these camps before the objective spawns. Neither team with a particularly strong ability to get camps. That Bruiser camp being checked by Zeratul. Sonya's pretty good, but Brightwing doesn't want to be alone in the solo lane. Diablo goes in onto Cassia, gets the flip, but actually puts her out onto her own side, so she ends up getting out pretty safely. Dragon goes in for the heal as well. Aruba getting a big Umbral Bind onto 3 members. But again, both teams just kind of trading out damage without really anything effective. Milkstar actually starting this camp will not be able to do it by themselves, but a couple members rotate up so that they can make sure that they can get that camp. Let's see if Luciodology chooses to respond to this. Zeratul going up towards the top lane, see if they can get a gank onto Sonya, but really, Luciodology is just content to soak the wave and not too concerned about getting mercenary camps. Zeratul comes in, deals a little bit of damage to Sonya, Sonya does a little bit of damage to Zeratul. All in all, not a whole lot likely to happen from that. The camp taken a little bit early. I would have liked to have seen them hold the cap, because it's actually going to be pushed up all the way to the wall before the objective even spawns. Just now, Vala and Deckard we see rotating out to take their own camp. They're actually going to be a little bit late to the objective, so I'd like to see both teams kind of tighten up their camp timings just a little bit in the future. I do like this top camp, since the red team won't be able to get on the objective immediately. They use that time to take a camp, and Anubarak gets on the objective, but his damage is not the best, no matter what build he's going. And he's not even going probably the better build, which would be Beetle build. Going out onto Zeratul, he gets the Burrow Charge, but misses the follow-up Impale, so Huntron is able to just walk out of there. I think I keep calling him Huntron, it's Hentron. My apologies. Sonya's in real deep behind enemy lines, gets charged by Diablo, but it doesn't have the follow-up, so he gets out of there, she gets out of there. Big dunk coming out from Azmodan, lots of damage on the Secret Asian Man, and that overpower is going to spell her destruction. Dragon's going to be the next to fall, and that is so far a 2-for-0 fight in favor of Luciodology. Looking to put Vala and Deckard Cain onto that camp and use onto the objective, and having Zeratul maybe go to the top lane to clear out that camp. Aruba just trying to do a little bit of poke, but poking is not what Maiev's specialty is. Brightwing trying to get the counter damage to lower that shield in the Immortal, and we get taken to halftime. Takalu originally was going to Hearth, decided better of it. Deckard Cain, though, is going to Hearth because he's completely out of mana. And it's not like his race is particularly important anyway. Hentron and Lemony Fresh getting immediately on the objective, and looks like ProBUs was a little indecisive. They started to burn, then changed their mind, decided to come in for the defense, going really strong out of the defense, and Eugene gets taken really low, and he goes down. Nothing Zeratul can do to stop that from going down. But there's actually not a whole lot of race potential, and they only have Cassia on the offense right now, so ProBUs trying to mount a 4-man defense and keep only one person on offense. Deckard Cain gets rooted and stunned, but he's still able to walk out of there. That's a tough old man. And in the back line, Zeratul takes out a Brightwing, making this effectively a 1-for-1 fight just in the very long term. Big 2-person root comes out, and a huge Umbral Bind into the objective stun is going to take out Vala. Zeratul in the back taking out another hero, almost totally uncontested, and with that third, I think, total kill, they're able to finish the objective for the side of Luciodology.
Victory through righteousness.
Looking at top lane, it doesn't look like either team let the camps that they took do too much work. It's not a whole lot to worry about for off-lane pressure. Looks like they're actually sending Vala to the top lane to do that off-lane, so which is a little surprising. Vala's got pretty good siege damage compared to the most of members on their team. I'd have maybe liked to have seen Zeratul, but perhaps they're using Zeratul to try and secure some kills to make this objective stronger than it otherwise might be. Goes in for the big cleave, but doesn't actually do a whole lot of damage. Dragon decides to use the Burrow Charge out of there. Diablo gets in, but he gets spooked away. Neither team is particularly injured for all of the poke damage that's coming out. And this Immortal is dropping fast. However, I think the fort might be dropping just a little bit faster. Hentron goes in once again, dealing some big cleave damage and blinks right on out of there. And the fort goes down. And it looks like Luciodology is totally content to not push that in any further. And maybe see if they can gank Sonya up in the top lane. Little surprised they didn't leave anybody behind for that bottom camp, which will leave it totally open for ProBUs to try and take down, but Hentron goes in. We've been seeing him get kills all game. Secret Asian Man gets brought really low, but the just-in-time blink from Brightwing is going to actually see a dead Zeratul instead. And a solid gank onto Vala. That's going to be a 2-for-0 in favor of ProBUs, and they're going to immediately rotate up to that top camp. Azmodan is not going to be able to do anything about that except maybe get a handful of stacks. Speaking of stacks, we see that they're currently at 114 stacks of that Annihilation, which it's not great, it's not bad. It's probably a little behind where you want to be at this point in the game, but it's not too bad. Only 8 stacks so far for Scroll of Identify, and 13 out of 40 for that Thunderstroke. A lot of damage being put on into this top wall with that Cosmer camp in behind. Hentron going in, seeing what they can do, but what they can do is not a whole heck of a lot right now. Cassia gets swiped at, but she's got that 40 armor. She can walk away just fine, and we've got 10s inboard for ProBUs. We actually see the rest of the members of Luciodology being a little bit hesitant. They were starting to rotate top, and then Diablo decided he needed to stay in the bottom lane to match that counter soak from Sonya. And now that both teams have level 10, let's take a look at them. We've got the Cocoon, we have the Vault of the Wardens, we have Ball Lightning, Leap, a little bit of a spicy pickup there, and once again, we're seeing the Emerald win. Speaking of, it gets used right there. Sonya using that Leap to come in and secure the kill onto that Zeratul, who does not have time to prop the Void Prison. Speaking of Void Prison, on the left-hand side, we've got Reign of Vengeance, Apocalypse, the Tide of Sin, no longer Blackpool, and Lornado. Another Umbral Bind coming out from Aruba onto Galactos with the follow-up CC, not quite enough to get him down, but he's in really far behind. Diablo with that amazing peel is able to get him out of there just fine, but you gotta get away from those balls, guys. They're not fun. Lornado just kind of knocks the enemy team away, but it looks like they were content to walk away anyway. So it looks like we've got a really strong position in here from ProBUs, but we're seeing if Zeratul can do anything about that with that Void Prison into APOC. Unfortunately, Zeratul did not let the Void Prison go in time, so Milkstar and Secret Asian Man going to stay alive a lot longer than they had any right to. Both teams just kind of content to walk away, lick their wounds a little bit, and re-engage, but that gives Luciodology enough time to start getting some damage in onto their Immortal. Azmodan actually going up to the top lane to throw a couple of empowered globes at the wave, make sure that they don't maybe lose that top fort, but that gives opportunity for ProBUs to go in and try to take a 4v5. They don't have to worry as much about their Merc camp because they already don't have a fort in that lane. Secret Asian Man gets jumped on by Diablo, but not a whole lot happens. The big polymorph out onto Zeratul. He's able to cleave around. Potion comes in just in time to keep him alive, and he blinks away with almost no HP to speak of. Secret Asian Man, he gets flipped in, gets targeted by Diablo. Diablo not quite able to take him down there. Once again, we have both teams have members that are very significantly hurt, but neither one going down quite yet. Just zoom out a little bit there. The big Warden's Cage coming in, locking in a lot of members, and it is actually Zeratul is going to be the first one to go down. Cocoon coming out onto Azmodan takes him out quite a way. A big 4-person Q right there from the Azmodan, dealing a lot of damage. And actually, Cassia went down. I'm sorry, I missed that in the chaos of the fight there. Both teams looking back to just trying to take defensive positions and reset the fight to the best of their abilities. I'd like to see someone at this point from the red team rotate down and take care of that camp. Looks like they're not planning to do it. They've got just the one Khazra, but 2 Katas starting to build up down there. If they let that go for too long, they'll definitely start doing some damage to the keep wall. Both teams with very defensive positionings. We actually see the camp coming out from Luciodology, and a lot of damage put out on a Secret Asian Man. That's a second Void Prism. Let's see if they're able to get it this time. There's the Apocalypse combo, taking out 2 members of ProBUs almost immediately. Poor Brightwing. And that makes ProBUs in a terrible spot to even try to maintain the defense on this. We see pings coming out for the bottom camp. I wonder if that's coming out from Luciodology, seeing if they can pick that up as well as the Immortal. Just barely making it to halftime, and ProBUs is in no place to mount an effective defense, so that'll be probably a half-health Immortal going over to the side of Luciodology. Zeratul seeing what he can do, just walking in and get some cheeky Qs out onto Cassia. Does not manage to take her down, but does force her to have to go back a little bit. Objective now picked up for the side of Luciodology. Zeratul's actually going to go back, not trusting the globes to make sure that his mana is full up for this next engagement. Trying to get the clear on the minion wave before the Immortal actually gets up here, so that the Immortal can immediately go in onto that top fort. Probably try to pressure top keep. Shouldn't get top keep unless some kills happen, but it'll definitely take down the wall. There goes the root out onto Cassia. Cassia gets engaged on by Diablo, but he's kind of been missing out on these flips. Really big Warden's Cage coming out from Aruba, dealing a lot of knockback, but not a whole heck of a lot of follow-on damage. Normally when you draft these Maiev comps, you have some kind of a mage, usually a Kel'Thas, a Li-Ming, or a Jaina, so they can really blow up all the members inside of that Warden's Cage, but ProBUs just kind of doesn't have that blow up. Zeratul comes in with another Void Prison, and here comes the Apocalypse, hitting 2 out of the 3, but that's enough to take out Cassia. With that kill, they are actually in a position to threaten this top keep, and the Immortal still has half health. I think they should be in a place to do it. They shouldn't be able to end just yet, but I said pretty much the same thing about the keep, so what do I know? Lornado coming in trying to pin someone between the keep and the enemy team, but not quite able to get it. Secret Asian Man using that spear to put a little bit of damage onto the Immortal, and it looks like Luciodology, content with the damage they have, they're just going to back up and see what else they can take around the map. Now that the Immortal's down, the camps are coming up. I'm glad they're not going for this Bruiser camp. That would be a little bit too aggressive. They're not quite up a talent tier at this point. So we just see them rotating down to take bottom lane XP and this bottom minion wave. Correction, this bottom mercenary camp, where ProBUs is going to take their Bruiser camp as well. Neither team is in a particularly good position to try and end the game from here, but Luciodology definitely have to give them the advantage. They have both of the forts down, they've got that top keep down, and they've got a level lead. Secret Asian Man has to use that leap to try and get out of there. Milkstar porting in to make sure that he does not go down. And we see the rotation up to the top camp. See if Luciodology decides to respond to that, and it looks like they are making a beeline for it. I don't think they'll be there in time to stop the capture, but they might be in there in time to get a couple of kills. Let's see if we're able to get it. Zeratul immediately going in for the cleave. Hong Fu taking quite a bit of damage, but the Emerald Wind's going to get him out of there just fine. Dragon, he's in a pretty precarious position, but no one knows that he's there, so he's going to get out just fine. In the bottom lane, we have Sonya clearing up this mercenary camp, and in the top lane, Asmodean's doing a very similar job. Both teams looking like they just want to try and play safe until the next objective, and in particular, I think Luciodology is going to want to take a fight here, considering they're up that very important 16 talent here, and it doesn't look like ProBUs is going to be here in any time for it. We see this Bruiser camp coming up in 8 seconds, with the Immortal spawning in 15, so if they get all the members out of their team on there, especially that Vala and Zeratul, they'll be able to take it out without losing too much time on the Immortal. Galactos very smartly already setting up potions in that defensive positioning. On the right side, we see all the members of ProBUs hoping to take a fight on their Immortal so they can get a little bit of stun, some of that disruption in there. Zeratul going in for the big cleave, but a little bit too aggressive. He's going to get Emerald Winded and taken out. The leap coming out from Sonya onto Deckard Payne doesn't quite take him out. Gets engaged back upon by Diablo, getting a Hong Fu really low. There goes the web wrap out onto Diablo. Not a whole lot able to be done during that time. There we see the Ancient Blessings coming out from Deckard Payne. Hong Fu gets chunked really low. He's getting chased away by an old man. Secret Asian Man and Dragon are both on top of their opponent's objective. It's not the place that they really want to be taking a fight. Even up a member, they're still down that very important level 16 talent here, and additionally, they're very low in hit points. We actually see ProBUs going to spend time to take the clear on that camp, which means Luciodology has time to get in and deal damage to their Immortal. We also see in the top lane, 3 Katas built up. If that doesn't get dealt with, it's going to start dealing some very significant damage to core. So it's looking like ProBUs is really in a tough spot here. Although Luciodology doesn't quite get halftime, but again, those Katas, they're going to start doing damage to the core. There's 4 of them now. We see Secret Asian Man is going to have to Hearth, and I have a feeling that as soon as Luciodology sees that Sonya's back, they're going to aggress onto this Immortal. Hentron sharking around, seeing if they can get some damage done. They see a lonely Cassia, but decides that it's not quite worth it. Sonya's now showing, and we see Luciodology's now aggressing onto their point. Get another, it was originally 2, but now 3-person APOC. Aru is able to jump out of it, but Cassia is not so lucky. Secret Asian Man going in for the counter leap, but just doesn't have the follow-up damage to actually do something about it. Hentron is just in there cleaving back and forth, dealing tons and tons of damage. Secret Asian Man gets brought down to barely 300 hit points, and Ubarak gets brought down to less than that. The web wrap came out onto Zeratul, but at that point his abilities were already used. He wasn't going to be doing anything more after that. Might have wanted to see it come out onto Vala. She's got a little bit more of that sustained damage, but that is a 2-for-0 trade in favor of Luciodology and an almost full health Immortal that's going to be barreling down the bottom lane. I think that ProBUs is going to be really hard-pressed to try and make this defense here. We do see Hentron once again taking that back just so they can be full up on mana in time for this objective. Everyone will be up by the time the Immortal actually gets to the keep, so ProBUs can try to mount a defense here, but it's going to be difficult. In an ideal scenario, they can, Team ProBUs that is, can get a couple of kills and take the Immortal down without losing their core, but I don't think there's any world in which this keep doesn't at least go down, if not more than that. And we see Maiev in the top lane actually deciding to get one last clear so they have a little bit of time before Katas start building up in the top lane, but that gives time for Luciodology to get into an aggressive position. There comes the root from Deckard Cain, not actually hitting anyone. There goes the Vengeful Spirit from Maiev, trying to see if they can get anyone, and the poke war is just kind of going in favor of Luciodology. There goes the Zeratul with the really nice 3-person Void Prison into the Apocalypse combo. Diablo is popping off right now. That is 2 kills for nothing and not even a lot of damage. I don't know if this is a possible defense anymore from Team ProBUs. Zeratul going in, going to cleave. Milkstar throwing out the Emerald Wind, but at that point he'd already gotten the damage in, and that is going to be game 2 going in favor of Luciodology. We have ourselves a rubber game. GG's come out from both sides, and let's check the end game stats. We have Deckard Payne not putting out near the same number of heals as Brightwing, but doesn't really matter when you have that much more damage coming out from your Zeratul player than the next closest member on ProBUs. So Let's see. Any other... I think the most telling statistic in this game this time has got to be that 15,000 experience coming out from Azmodan. Experience is... I always say it's the most important stat. XP is what wins games. It's the most important thing after actually winning the game. So we'll see if ProBUs can make the adjustment in Game 3 and bring it back, make sure they can bring up that XP lead, or if the superior team fighting shown in this game will carry Luciodology through the rest of the series.